Week 5 of the fantasy football season. Here's top 12 defense DST units. I'm ranking this week. The first one, the Baltimore Ravens. So the Baltimore Ravens, so far this season, their defense has been banged up, but they're still going out there making plays, getting sacks on the quarterback, and keeping teams, for the most part, to low scoring. So this week here with a great matchup at the Pittsburgh Steelers, pretty much with all backups in there for the most part. We know Deontay Johnson's out. Pat Freiermuth, his latest injury, he's out 2 to 3 weeks now. And in this one, we don't know if it's going to be Kenny Pickett or Mitchell Trubisky 100%. But either way, with Freiermuth and Johnson out, and this Raven defense coming off a monster game versus a few backups, obviously, versus the Cleveland Browns with Thompson, Robinson, and obviously Jerome Ford filling in for Nick Chubb the remainder of the season. I think this Raven defense in a division matchup goes in there in Pittsburgh, plays good D. We know it's always a grinded out game between these two teams, but their DST this week I think has a great one. And then number 1, number 2, the Detroit Lions. So the Lions defense each week, it seems like it's been improving. And obviously Hutchinson's been the anchor on that defense. And also when this offense gets off to a good lead, the defense really starts to tee off. And we saw it last week versus the Green Bay Packers. And now here versus the Carolina Panthers, one of the worst teams in the league, already 0-4 coming to Detroit. I think this line defense, they're going to have a good ball game. Bryce Young, he hasn't looked good so far in the first 3 games he's played in his rookie season. And there's not really a threat on that offense that's really going to scare this Lion defense, in my opinion. I know Adam Thielen's been playing good football, but his stats have pretty been non-impact stats in terms of getting a victory for his team. So this week with a good matchup and a young quarterback coming to town, I think this Lion team has a good game once again. And I got him at 2. Number 3, the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles defense, no doubt about it this season, they have problems in giving up points. They've given up a lot of points so far in the early going here in the first 4 weeks. But this Eagle defense still, in my opinion, one of the better pass rushers in the league. They still make plays when they need them down the stretch. We know they're 4-0. And this Ram team, I know offensively this season, they've definitely been surprising with Puka Nacua. Cooper Kupp possibly coming back this week, which is a huge plus. Kyron Williams playing good at the running back position. Tutu Atwell and Higbee. But I just think this Eagle team versus a weaker offensive line in the Rams, they could nominate the line in a scrimmage in this one and get a few sacks on Stafford. Stafford, takes his sacks going back to his Lion days. And even over the last couple of weeks, he's taken some big hits as well. So this defensive line, I think, is going to get to the quarterback. And it seems like they get a few turnovers a game as well. So I think Stafford's good for 1 or 2 turnovers in this one, possibly 3 or 4 sacks. And I think this Eagle team, they know they got to focus on defense a little bit more after last week almost losing to Washington. So this week I got them at 3. Number 4, San Francisco 49ers. So the Dallas Cowboys coming to town, and what an NFC matchup and playoff rematch from last season this is going to be. So the 49ers, we know, is one of the best defenses in the league, led by Nick Bosa, Fred Warner in the middle of the field there, and just guys flying around. And this Niner team, we know the season, obviously the game scripts when you get off to a good start and then you let the defense tee you off. But this week I think it's going to be a closer game, even though I do think the Niners are going to win this game versus the Dallas Cowboys. And Dak Prescott, he's playing too cautious, I believe, this season here. I don't think Prescott's that good of a quarterback. The accuracy isn't there. He's not driving the ball really down the field. And this is where you're going to run into problems with a defense playing too conservative like the Niners, sniffing out these type of plays. So this week here in a very tough matchup for this Dallas offense, where they don't punch the ball in good in the red zone anyway, I think this Niner team feasts and has a good one once again. And I got him at 4. Number 5, the Buffalo Bills. So this Bill team, I know they've lost some guys. Pointer, Von Miller hasn't played yet, and Tre'Davious White out for the season with a torn Achilles. But this Bill team, they're getting to the quarterback. They're getting some interceptions, making some plays. And I think we're going to see the same once again this week versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. This Jaguar team, offensively, they really haven't done much, in my opinion, over the last 2 weeks. Last week it was 2 pick sixes versus the Falcons to pretty much win that game. And Trevor Lawrence, his numbers haven't been there so far this season. So Buffalo, even with the injury, they're going to do what they do, I think, offensively, get off to an early start, and then let the defense go out there and make some plays. And that's exactly been the script the last 3 weeks for this Buffalo Bill team, where the offense is playing incredible football, and then the defense could zero in and really get to the quarterback. So with Trevor Lawrence struggling mightily over the last few weeks, and this defense starting to hit its stride, I got Buffalo at 5. Number 6, the Miami Dolphins. I know this Dolphin defense, they haven't played good football all year, is Miami, but this week is a streaming option versus one of the worst offenses in the league here in the New York Giants. And obviously the worst offensive line last week, the Seattle Seahawks went in to MetLife Stadium, and they just got past that offensive line early and often. 10 sacks in the game. Daniel Jones, I don't know, he was getting up from some of these hits. So this Dolphin team, same recipe as Buffalo. They're going to get off to an early start, 10, 14-point lead most likely. And that's where this defense is going to tee off. Jalen Ramsey is a possibility he comes back in this game, but we don't know for sure, as already he spent the first 4 weeks on IR. So right now, this offensive line's been bad for this Giant team. And I think this Dolphin defensive line, they can make plays in this game. And Jones, he's good for a turnover too. So I got them at 6. Number 7, the New York Jets. So the Jets travel to Denver. And this could be a ball game where there's a lot of bad blood. Obviously, Nathaniel Hackett getting called out in preseason, former Broncos coach by Sean Payton. So I think this Jet defense, they're going to put some pride into this game and play well. We know they got down to a 17-0 deficit early in week 4 versus the Kansas City Chiefs. But the defense, second half of the game, played well, even though Mahomes, in clutch situations, made plays to put the game away. But anyway, this Jet defense, we know, is a solid unit. Quentin Williams on the defensive line, C.J. Mosley, linebacker, and Sauce Gardner becoming one of the better corners in all pro football. And this week here versus a pretty bad offensive line over there in Denver. And Javonte Williams possibly out of this game as well here. I think this defense, they're going to get to Russell Wilson. We know this Jet team, if they want to win ball games, they got to start with the defense because the offense isn't good at all pretty much. And I think this week at Denver, a team that turns the football over a lot. And Wilson just hasn't been great over the last couple seasons. I have them at number 7. Number 8, the Dallas Cowboys. So the Cowboys defense last week, 2 defensive touchdowns, fumble recovery TD by Van Der Esch, and then planned with a pick 6 in that one. But that was versus obviously one of the worst offenses in the league in the New England Patriots. This week a tough matchup at the 49ers, who have their number. Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brock Purdy. So a very solid offense, obviously, over there in San Francisco. But this Cowboy team, the key is Micah Parsons getting to the quarterback. And I know last week's game, Parsons was shaking up a few times and limping on and off the field. So if they could get him 100% right for this game, I still think this defense could go out there and make plays. And we even saw it last season in the playoff game. It was a tight, contested ball game, low scoring. So right now, I think this Cowboy team's going to buckle down a little bit in this one. They know they got to win this ball game, playing good defense and making some turnovers, but it's not going to be easy. So I know they're one of the top defenses in the league, but this week at 8, number 9, the Washington Commanders. So the Commanders this week is a plug-and-play streaming option. I like them versus the Chicago Bears coming to town here on Thursday Night Football. So right now we know this Bear offense has struggled mightily this season. Besides last week, Justin Fields, his first 300-plus passing yard game, 4 touchdowns. But Thursday Night Football, the games we know are high scoring usually as well. But I think the Commanders, in this one, they're going to get a few sacks on Justin Fields. Bad offensive line, does hold on to the football too much at times as well. And also, he's good for a couple turnovers as Justin Fields. So right now with all those factors, even though it could be a high scoring game between these two teams, I got the Commanders at 9, number 10, the New Orleans Saints. So the Saints going into New England here, this could be a grinded out type of game, no doubt about it. 2 offenses pretty much struggling this season. But this offense over there in New England, they don't really have any scary weapons. Mac Jones pretty much hasn't done much over the last couple seasons. You don't really have a number 1 wide receiver, just a bunch of 2 and 3 guys. Juju Smith-Schuster, Kendrick Bourne, Devontae Parker. Hunter Henry, he's been solid at the tight end position, but I think this Saint defense, they're going to limit him in this one and play a good ball game. I know Ramondre Stevenson's a solid back, and Zeke has been getting work, but I think this Saint team, tight game, I could see mid-teens, low 20s between these two teams. And I got him at 10, number 11, the Houston Texans. So this Texan defense under first-year head coach D'Amico Ryans is playing some solid ball. Last week we saw them hold the Steelers to 6 points. They got to the quarterback a few times, couple turnovers. And this week at the Falcons, we're one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league at Desmond Ridder. I think they could get a few plays in this one. We saw the Jaguars with 2 pick sixes, the Falcons last week in London. So right now, Desmond Ridder, like I said, he's a turnover machine. They have no confidence in really letting loose on that offense with a lot of great weapons. Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. And right now, I think this Texan defense, they go into Atlanta, they make a few plays. And this is a young and up-and-coming team so far, playing well on both sides of the ball. So this week, I got them at 11 in the 12th and final defense. DST I'm ranking this week here is the Green Bay Packers. So the Packers, I know last week they got torched by that Detroit Lion offense. And the Lions, they had a few turnovers as well that gave them good field position. But this week, Vegas Raiders, I think they can make some plays. We don't know if it's going to be Garoppolo or Aiden O'Connell. But either way, I think this Packer team, 11 days off now, much another bye for this Packer team, where I think this defense is going to get healthier. I know Jair Alexander hasn't been 100%, but this Raider team, if it's Jimmy Garoppolo, he's been a turnover machine, leading the league in interceptions this season so far. And then if it's Aiden O'Connell, horrible last week, but also he got sacked 6 times by Khalil Mack himself. So this game, Monday Night Football, I think Green Bay goes in there. They have a defensive solid plan, and they are top 12 defense this week. So that's a top 12 defense DST unit I'm ranking here for week 5 of the fantasy football season.